In this video, I'm going to teach you 10 steps that you can use to arrange any track in any genre. So whether you are a beginner or advanced music producer, this video will help you to understand arrangement on a fundamental, on a deeper level, so that you can arrange faster, have more fun, enjoy the process more, and make it easy for you to turn your ideas, your loops into full tracks. So this is the track that we are working on. If you need help with your music and you want to work with me, check the links down below. I have a coaching program that can help you to take your music production skills to the next level, start releasing music on labels, and much more. So let's get started with the video. Okay, first thing first, keep it simple. This is the #1 advice for finishing tracks. A lot of times your ideas are way too complicated if you're struggling with arrangement and mixing, which might not be like related if you think about it this way. But quite often it's just too busy, and this is why you can't finish, you can't mix. This example that I'm going to show you in a sec may seem complicated, but I only have one melody. All the sounds are playing the same thing. I'm going to show you different sections of the track, right? So if you listen to the track, although it's complex, it's still very simple. Right, and let's go one by one just so you guys see what is happening here. I have the main lead sound. Then we have another sound here. And they are playing the same melody. Same goes to that third sound that I have, which is like bass lead sound. Another one that is adding a little bit of punch to the whole thing. Right, we can open the cutoff a little bit like this. So keep it simple, and I'm gonna show you a couple more sections of the same track so it makes sense. Because if you can't make your track simple, if it doesn't sound good simple, that means that you need to go back to the groove, to the melody writing, maybe kick in the bass. Just check it out, like it's so simple from here. So we just have two sounds playing at the same time, right? This is the power of simplicity. This is, again, just to illustrate, your mix has a limited amount of space. It's easier to fit a fewer elements, so make sure that you're only adding the stuff that sounds good and that's important, right? And quite often, the mixes, because I work with a lot of producers, and this is how it looks visually, right? Just too much stuff. So trim it down, keep it simple. Okay, #2, the 1-2 drop technique, and this is how, I like making music. So if you're struggling with finishing tracks, this method will be a game changer. So I like having drop #1 as sort of like the middle of the track and drop 2 as the climax. So basically we are leading our track through arrangement to that second drop, right? So how to do it is you want to create the first 16 bars as drop 1 and then make another section for the drop 2. So for example, let's imagine that we are creating a track and we have this loop. I'm just going to copy paste it. So what I would do is I would paste it here, right? You have this loop. Let's forget we don't have the rest of the track. So you have this really cool loop. It sounds amazing. So just go ahead, copy paste. This is going to be another section, and then start changing the melody maybe a little bit, start changing the elements. And then I usually start with like 2 of these 16 bar long loops, which we're going to talk about why 16 bars, right? And then the second drop could be different because the way that I created this track, so the first drop was the one that I just copy pasted, right? That was the original vibe. And And then I was like, okay, so in the second drop, I want the mood of the track to change, and I want the vibe of the track to change. So this is what we have. I came up with the cool arpeggio. Right? And you can see now I have two sections of the track, and it's going to be really, really easy for you to connect those two parts of the track. Think big blocks. One of the reasons why you're struggling with finishing tracks is that your loops are way too repetitive. And this is what I see in my free school community. This is what I see working one-on-one in group setting with producers online. So the easy fix to making the arrangement process easier for you is just make long loops. Yes, you may like struggle a little bit more in the beginning, but like you can see that this is pretty long, right? If I copy this just a couple of times, it's already like 4 times, that's 2 minutes, right? And then if we had to copy like this, it's going to be way more repetitive. So the logic here is just make longer loops, right? And to illustrate the concept is, again, this is how I arrange tracks with 16 bars, and you only need to copy your 16 bar loop 9 times for a track that's 4.5 minutes long, right? If we take the same thing and it's going to be 8 bars, I need to copy it 18 times. So it's way more repetitive. And again, in Ableton, if I were to copy it, right? Let's say we're going to do like 8 bars. It's okay, like it's a good start, but do 16, right? So, okay, I copied it already 4 times for 1 minute, right? But on the other hand, if we have longer loops, and again, just don't want to repeat myself too much, even though like it is pretty much the same loop, but here we have a little bit more, so that already counts, right? Make longer loops. And how you make longer loops is you record stuff live, right? So you can use instruments, you can use MIDI controllers. You can see this loop, this flute loop is 16 bars long, and it's pretty unique. So that's step number 2. All right. Again, if you look at my track, you can see visually that I am thinking 16 bars blocks. This is very, very useful. All right, tip number 3, start slow. You don't need to give away all elements at once, like right away. Music is like a movie. It needs storytelling. So in my track, I start the intro by teasing the main lead sound. So the idea is to take the main drop that you have and create simplified variations for different parts of the track. So let's imagine that this is our main theme, right? This is the climax. This is the drop, the main idea that you started with when you made the loop for the track. So I'm not giving away everything in the intro, in the build. Even like drop 1, it's still not the full one. And like the drop 1, like plus energy, how I wrote it here, it still doesn't have the main theme, which could be like delete, what have you, right? So it wants to start slow, and I'm gonna show you here. So my intro starts, like, obviously I'm going to be DJing this track. So if you take a look at this one, you see we have a different rhythm here. So I'm technically starting with just a little part of my lead sound, right? See from here. Right, because if I would add all the sounds here, the main drop, it will not be interesting, because people are listening to your track for the first time, so they don't know like what's gonna come next, right? And as we go, I'm going to be introducing more sounds to the arrangement, because it's like a storytelling, right? So again, you can take your main lead sound and maybe just take parts of it, right, like this, and have it in the beginning to build up the tension, to build up the energy and make your track more interesting. Okay, now the next tip, number 4, musical storytelling, which is the next step after you start slow. So like in a movie, you should have a story in your track. As you progress through the track, you keep adding and removing sounds. The big idea, something has to change, usually every 8 bars. That's like a golden standard. It can be a layer that you are adding to the melody or a rhythm change, whatever fits your track the best. Again, so you can visually see that I am adding and taking out some of the elements as we progress through the arrangement. And this is like the musical storytelling, even like in this example that I just had, right? So we have this first lead sound, and then check it out. So as we progress through the track, I'm starting to introduce new sounds to the arrangement. Check it out. This one as well is adding a little bit of energy. And you can see here that I added it here and then I took it away. I may like, you could do like this, but it's going to be like a little bit too boring. You want to have some subtle little variations to it, right? So be creative. Again, there's no formula to it. I just go with the flow, how I feel, right? So check it out how we are progressing with the track. So from here, I'm changing the rhythm of the main lead sounds. And then we also have those 2 layers, right? We'll talk about that as well. And then, again, as we progress through the track, here you can see we are adding multiple layers, and they add even more energy to the track, obviously, right? So just look at this. Right? And then we are taking away the main lead sound. So be creative, test it out. Same thing goes for the second drop, right? So we start slow because it's the second drop. And then as we go, I'm adding more sounds, but it's, again, so simple. Just 1, 2, 3 main sounds. Flute, lead sound, and the arpeggio. And then, yeah, another example that I'm taking away the ARP sound, just so it's like not too repetitive, not too boring, because we had it playing for quite a bit of time. And then the last drop, I want to be like different from what we already had. So it's just the flute and the main lead sound. Tip number 5, respect the loop. And this is such an important one. So when making music, you need to make sure your loop resolves and cycles, right? It's repeating itself nicely. Pay close attention to the end of your loops. So if you look at my project, you can see I am very, very good at adding those little filler sounds, effects, all that stuff at the end of the loop. Sometimes it could be like every 4 bars, usually like every 8 bars, right? So I'm gonna show you a couple of examples. So in this case, when we are transitioning, I'm adding this little lead sound before. Then if you have a look at this is another 4 bars, right? And if I would have had just the lead sound, it's gonna be a little bit too boring. So what we can do here is I am adding those 2 layers. So check those sounds out. So this is really cool. It is the same melody, but again, respects the loop. It just adds a bit of variation to it. So cool and so natural as well, because we are again using the main idea. So coming back to tip number 1, keep it simple. And then the same thing goes here. So technically, this is already 8 bars long. I have a different sound at the end. So we go like this. I'm not really sure about this one, to be honest, but this one is really nice. Again, it goes with the lead sound and adds that nice accent, so like resolution at the end. And you can be creative with that, right? Here, again, we have another example, which is going to be the percussion sound. Okay. So it could be percussion, it could be literally anything, but make sure that your loop resolves and cycles nicely, because quite often I see, like when I work with producers, it's not a nice idea, but it just lacks a little bit of that, resolution at the end, which is really, really important. And to visually illustrate this, if you have a melody that repeats 4 times, let's say it's going to be 1 bar, right? It will feel boring. So just have some little accents, some little variation at the end of the loop. But then again, sometimes the melody or the loop can be repetitive. So the change is going to be every 8 bars. So 4 to 8 bars. Think of that. Okay. Number 6, lead with automation. So a lot of times I see producers forget that we actually have like 4 dimensions in the track, and the 4th one is time. So what I'm noticing is, again, quite often the tracks that I hear from producers are good, but it lacks a little bit of that movement. So with automation, we are introducing movement and we are changing the energy of the track, right? So again, your track is like a movie. It should give emotions, it should give feeling. And if you don't have movement, like if the characters in the movie were static, right, they don't have any story, like you just introduce them in the beginning and they don't change, the movie wouldn't be interesting, right? So some parameters will be more subtle, so see what works best for your tracks. I want to give you an example, because I already did like a whole full video on automation, but this is going to be like a super simple one. So if you listen to this lead sound, right, you can see how much movement we are already having with this. And it doesn't have to be like super complicated. Usually just like the filter cutoff that you need to change, maybe like ADSR, right? But that's it. You can see how nice those 2 accents sound, but if I would make like, yeah, I didn't really change it, but you get the point. And this is also really cool, right? And then on the other hand, this one is going to be more static. So like, it's not bad because the sound selection is really good. I spent time on it. But you can see there's definitely more movement. I can't give you like a formula that you can just plug and play, because I spent like almost 10 years developing this stuff, right? Developing the taste of what sounds good in my music. And then again, another example is going to be the reverb automation, the delay automation, and the filter automation. So if you listen to this sound, so here's another example. You can just manually take this stuff, and depending on the arrangement of the track, you can also change the automation a little bit. But again, the whole thing and the whole idea behind this is that your track is like a roller coaster. So give people that experience with automation, okay? Okay, the next one, accent and timbre layering. So instead of adding new sounds to your track, try layering something on top of the melody you have. It will sound simpler and contribute to the groove, to the overall idea of the track, because again, you're just adding another layer, another variation of the same melody, right? In this case, every sound has a different character and timbre. We'll break down the sound design. I just like, to put shapes so you can guys sort of visually see different sounds and how they can change the vibe of the tracks. Let's go and break this thing down. So we have this main lead sound, and I'm gonna keep adding like one by one. This is what we have. Now I have another ethnic instrument. and they sound really, really nice, right? So instead of like adding some more stuff in between, which is gonna like, you know, make my mix too busy, I just add the same thing. But it's also like a really thin line. Sometimes if you add too much, it's not gonna sound good. So always consider the frequencies. Does it actually make my sound better, right? Then we have another one. We have the bass lead, which is like more punchy. It is more plucky, and it mixes, like blends really well with the sub bass that we have, right? Right? You can see that once we put those three sounds together, and then we have the final one, which is the accent. Sounds like this. You can see how much that all adds, right? So this is sort of the climax of the first sharp, of the first half of the track. And this is why I layered so many sounds, because I felt like, okay, I need to have some variation to make it interesting, but I don't want to add new stuff, right? So the track is like super minimal. Yes, I do have like 44 channels, but it's super, super minimal, super nice, super clean. So this is what you can think about. And also, more layers equals to more energy, as I explained. So if you look here, the fewer layers that we have, the more like simple the groove will be. So you can use this for arrangement and storytelling. So depending on where you want to, you know, like add stuff, depending on where you want to have more energy, you can play with layers instead, right? And a little thing, because I made like a full video on that. I'm going to link all the videos that I want you guys to watch. This is going to be the accent layering, right? So we take small parts of the melody and we just layer that with another sound. So for example, we can do like, and go like this. Because this is essentially the same thing as the melody, but it will add a little accent, make it super cool, super interesting. So this is something that you can do as well. Okay, next thing, use delay to glue sounds. So say the leading rhythm in the track is 1/4, right? This is how you can use delay to sort of fill that space in between, because quite often, you know, I can make a track, I make like short and plucky sound, and the space in between the melody notes may feel like it's a bit too empty, right? So with the delay, we can glue everything. So depending on the groove of the track, you can pick different delay timing. So the point is, delay glues and connects sounds, filling up the empty space, right? So let me show you with the delay to like what it does to the main sound. So from here, like it's not fully dialed in, but it's giving that groove. It is like supporting the main rhythm. Just listen to the whole mix without the delay and then with the delay. Right? And then the same thing with the delay. It's a bit too much, but once you dial in the right setting, it's going to be really cool. So you can already hear that the track is more consistent, it's more cohesive, it's more glued together. So play with delay. You can put it on the return channel, you can put it on like a separate channel. So like my delay is routed here to this one. I use Echo Boy, can use any delay, the one that you have. Okay, so have a little bit more. The next tip, simple transitions. You can see that I'm not using almost any effects in this track, which is really cool if you can do it. So I'm utilizing automation and the delay to make simple and smooth transitions. So challenge yourself to not to use any effects, and I will guarantee your tracks will sound more interesting, because quite often, let's be honest, noise sweeps and rises are overused everywhere. So if you listen to, and it's like, again, not a fully dialed in, but you will guys understand how to do it. So what I'm automating here is the reverb and the delay, and I don't have any noise sweeps, nothing. Just check it out how smooth it actually is without any effects. So cool, so minimal. So try utilizing the reverb, the delay for simple transitions, right? And I'm just putting a low-cut filter on my bass here. And because of that, again, all the automations work sort of for one groove. Right? And then the same thing is happening here as well. I'm opening the filter. I need to like fine tune the automations and the delay a little bit. I just have this one impact, but check it out how smooth it is. So cool. Right, so stop overcomplicating. You don't need like super crazy effects, super complicated breakdowns. You just need to have this one really good melodic idea. So in this case, the rhythm of the arp. It's so cool. Absolutely love it. So try simple transitions. Okay, and the last technique, the notepad technique. This is the best non-musical technique that will help you to finish your tracks faster. So once you get the arrangement done, take a pen and a paper or a notepad app on your computer, phone, whatever. Start listening to the track and export the MP3 or the WAV file, and just don't look at the screen of your project. Just listen to it, because looking at the project is distracting you. The listener is not like looking at your door, right? So we need to be in this listener mindset. So listen through the track and just start taking notes of what comes to your mind, right? So it could be like adding a drum fill here, automating lead sound on the drop start, automate bass cutoff, like really anything. So listen to the track, write the time. It's like 1 minute 30 seconds. Where you want to make this change, and then you'll have like a list of notes that you can do to the track. So the benefit of this technique is it will show you specific steps you need to take to finish your track, and even if you're stuck and have writer's block, you can write down what you want to change, and you will have a plan, like what steps I need to take, right? And it will also help you to not to get tired of the track. So it will teach you to listen less and do more. And then you just go to the project. Then you just go to the project, and like that here is going to be some sort of a change here. I need to do change here, here, and here. So these are my top 10 favorite arrangement techniques that I use for arranging my music, as you can see. And if you guys enjoyed the video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, leave a comment if you want to share something, any ideas, and if you need help with taking your music production skills to the next level, check the link, go to my website, and let's work together. So see you guys in the next video. Ciao.